Hi everyone, this is our step 1 video to go ahead and start our digital repeat pattern in Illustrator assignment. The first thing to do is to download and open the Every Tuesday hand-drawn vector leaves Illustrator file like I've got here. Once we have that, I want you to open a new file. So go File, New, and our file is going to be a custom measurement. So click custom, type the measurement 75 millimeters, make sure millimeters is selected by 75. Our raster effects are high, color mode CMYK, and let's go ahead and click create. So now we have a square artboard. I'm just going to go Control minus to zoom out a little bit. And we're going to now create another artboard just next to that. So over on your left-hand tool panel, you'll have an artboard tool just here. If you don't, you should be able to click on these 3 dots and find it here. So click this artboard tool, and at the top you can see the measurements, our width by our height. We want to click this little plus so we have another artboard, and you can kind of just move that to the side and then click the black mouse. So now I have 2 artboards. We're going to go back to our Every Tuesday file. I'm using my black arrow. I'm click and drag over all of these little details. Control C, so I'm copying them. I'm clicking back to my artboard and I'm going to paste them just here on my second artboard. Control V. Now they're really huge, so I'm going to go zoom out a little bit and just use the corner arrow. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm always holding shift as I do this so that I keep the dimensions. I can pick that up and just pop it on the artboard so that we have our beautiful flourish details accessible in this file. Once we have them there, I'm going to just zoom in a little more. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and use these flourishes to create a pattern on our artboard. And I'm just going to move my artboard a little closer so we can see it. So let's go ahead and pick some out that we might like. I'm going to use this little flower. So I'm going to click it. I'm going to hold Alt. And when I hold Alt, you can see the little black and white arrow are stacked on top of each other. I can click and drag. So it creates a copy, and I've still got the original just here. So you might want to choose some flourishes that you would like to put in your pattern today. Let's see, I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to click it with my black arrow, hold Alt, click and drag onto my artboard. Let's start with maybe 3 or 4, and we can arrange them just here. So for example, this one, I can Control C, Control V, because I might want a few of them. I can click on my flourish. I can make it bigger by the arrows in the diagonal. I'm going to stretch it out, but I'm always going to hold shift to make sure it stays in the proportions. I can also rotate it by hovering in the corner, and I get my little arrow on a curve. I can rotate it around. I can also go right click, transform, and reflect. So go ahead and do all of these little steps that I'm showing you just to practice. Let's go reflect, and you can reflect it by clicking preview. Reflect it on the horizontal axis or the vertical. Maybe you want it at a specific angle. And if you click preview and then copy, you'll get another copy of your flourish. So there are some ways to resize and kind of reposition your flourishes. What I want you to do now is practice that and then create your repeat pattern on this artboard. I've got my repeat pattern, and just have a look that I've definitely got my little elements going over the edges of my artboard. I've got some elements larger, some smaller, and they're definitely on different angles as well. So they're all important tips when you're creating your repeat pattern. Now it is time to add some color. So what I want you to do is to go over to this website called color.adobe.com. The link has been provided to you, and this is a fantastic resource for color swatches. So you can go to create color wheel, and here are a whole lot of pre-loaded color palette options that you might want to use for your repeat pattern. Now keep in mind that we're doing homewares and surface graphics, so often they are very calming, beautiful color schemes. What you can do is click on a color scheme like this double split complementary, click the little circle with the arrow, and you can move it around the color wheel. Obviously, towards the center, your colors will be more tinted, and towards the outside, they'll be more saturated and bright. So you can find a color scheme that works well for you. I really liked, I think it was, let's see, maybe it was the triadic color scheme that I had before. And I found one that was towards, or it was monochromatic, towards the greens. Now, if you find something that you like, so maybe about here, you can also go ahead and edit the little swatches. So you can just move these little toggles. Obviously, this one, I think it's great to have a darker color in your repeat pattern color scheme. So darker, just like here. Maybe you might think my C and my E are a little too similar, so you might want to make one a little more saturated. So it does change the whole color palette, but you can make some edits there. So once you're happy with something, you can always go and edit it later. What I want you to do is put these into Illustrator. So I'm looking at this little swatch C. I'm going to record these RGB values. So you can see my RGB values are on the left-hand side, and here are the little numbers. So for number C, I'm going to write down 122, 216, and 201 for my first color swatch. I'm going to go back into Illustrator. The first thing to do is to click on File and make sure our document color mode is selected RGB. Once you have that, let's go across to our swatches over here. If you can't find it in your right-hand toolbar, you can go to Window and click on Swatches. And we're going to add this to our swatches. So I'm going to click the three little lines, press New Swatch. I'm going to call this Lime Green, and I'm going to put my RGB values in. So it's 122, 216, and 201. Once you have that, you can click Add to My Library and click OK. So you'll see the little swatch come up in your swatch palette. You'll also see it come up in your library. And now we want to use our color swatches that you've loaded for your elements. So all my big leaf elements here should all be the same color. So I'm going to click on one. I can click on the color swatch that I would like it. And I can also, if I want to make my color a little bolder, I can click the line tool and also click that color too. You can see the difference if I have a color on the line or no color. So the next step is to go ahead and recolor all of your swatches. Once you have recolored your artwork, make sure you save your Illustrator file, and then we want to complete our project by following the every Tuesday repeat pattern tutorial to turn this into a repeat pattern.